Hey, what's up you guys? I'm Sarah Lebrat and today we are going back to Exercises in Style by Raymond Queneau. Someone told me that it's pronounced quinoa, but I'm not entirely sure that's true. It sounds legit. Still don't really know how to say the last name though, but we are going back to practice more writing styles. I have already made one video about this, trying 3 different writing styles, and there are 99 in this book, and so we are going to try another 3 today. Basically, what Raymond did when writing this book in French originally, and then since then it has been translated to English, but in this book, the same 2 stories, only a paragraph long, are retold 99 different times because they are written in 99 different styles. In my last video talking about this book, Exercises in Style, I did the notation style, the retrograde style, and the negatives style. I will be working with the same paragraph from my project DE that I used last time to rewrite in each of these 3 styles to experiment a little bit with my own writing style. The original paragraph from my project DE goes like this. When she hit the main part of the castle, the hallways opened up to show the brilliance and wealth of the kingdom. Turning to walk along the southern-facing wall of the castle, the curtains blowing gently in the wind, Caden looked out over the harbor, where ships were sailing in and out, a show of the wealth and prosperity of the kingdom. She stopped for a moment to watch the large trading ships docking. She wondered where each ship had come from, and for the ones that were leaving, what far-off shores they were headed for. And so if you want to watch the first one of these videos that I made, where I wrote in the retrograde, notation, and negatives style, I will include a link to the playlist at the end of the video if you want to wait until then. In that video, I also talk a little bit more about this book and give more details, but because I've already done that once, I'm not going to do it again. I kind of recapped it. And so what's next is choosing 3 styles from here that I'm going to try today. The first one that I think I'm going to try today is called asides. Here's the example given to us in the book about this style. The bus arrived, bulging with passengers. Only hope I don't miss it. Oh good, there's still just room for me. One of them, queer sort of mug he's got, with that enormous neck, was wearing a soft felt hat with a sort of little plate round it instead of a ribbon, just showing off that is, and suddenly started, hey, what's gotten into him? To vituperate his neighbor, the other chap isn't taking any notice of him, reproaching him for deliberately treading, seems as if he's looking for trouble, but he'll climb down on his toes. But as there was a free seat inside, didn't I say so, he turned his back and made haste to occupy it. About 2 hours later, coincidences are peculiar. He was in the Cour de Rome with a friend, a fancy pants of his own sort, who was pointing with his index finger to a button on his overcoat. What on earth can he be telling him? So this one, asides, seems to be like a phrase or a sentence, and then it goes inside the character's head in italics, and basically the character then says whatever they're thinking in the narrative. So now that I read that, it's time to try it. Asides went really well. I did have an angry bird chirping at me the entire time from outside my window. It was facing me and chirping for almost the 10 or 15 minutes that I was working on this one. I don't know if it was mad at me because my blinds were open, and so I'm not sure if they could see me and saw me as a threat or something. I'm not really sure, but angrily chirping. Anyways, here's how asides went for me. When she hit the main part of the castle, she wished it had been the throne room or somewhere else majestic. The hallways opened up to show the brilliance and wealth of the kingdom. A little too wealthy due to some trades the queen's father had made. Turning to walk along the southern-facing wall of the castle, the wall that faced towards her home, the curtains blowing gently in the wind, the salty breeze that carried in off the ocean, Caden looked out over the harbor where ships were sailing in and out. Ships she had never been on, ships for trading. She stopped for a moment to watch the large ships docking. She wondered who manned the docks, if anyone knew who loaded and unloaded the ships, but stayed ashore and never ventured overseas. She wondered where each ship had come from, and for the ones that were leaving, what far-off shores they were headed for, and which ones would find themselves at the bottom of the ocean. I feel like this one was quite similar to notation in the last video that I made about writing styles, but it was just kind of a way for me to add more context and more description into the narrative. It was also a good way for me to start experimenting with more of the character's thoughts and adding that in. Obviously, all of the styles mentioned in this book are extreme examples. That's kind of the point. My writing style will likely never be as extreme in any particular one of these as they are in this book, because it is a style book, for example, and so these writing styles are extremely strong. I'm writing these much stronger to just sort of explore what I like and don't like for this story, and for my own personal writing style. My lighting is getting bad because the sun has gone down outside, so I'm gonna try and shift you guys over. That's better. So now this is our background, but it's time to pick the second style we are going to be trying today. Well, I flipped it open and the one I landed on is called You Know. So here is the example listed in this book for this style. Well, you know, the bus arrived, so you know, I got on. And then I saw, you know, a citizen who, you know, caught my eye sort of. I mean, you know, I saw his neck and I saw the plate round his hat. Then he started to, you know, rave at the chap next to him. He was, you know, treading on his shoes. Then he went and, you know, sat down. Well, you know, later on I saw him in the corridor. He was with a, you know, pal, and he was telling him, you know, the pal was, you ought to get another button put on your coat. You know. This seems kind of like hesitant, and I kind of like this. I think that this could actually be really interesting in like any kind of prose scenario because it immediately makes the narrator seem less reliable just because they seem so hesitant and unsure of themselves. And so, you know, let's give this one a shot. After a brief intermission on my part, it is now dark outside and I can hear bass coming from downstairs and the wind is howling. But it is time for me to read the you know style that I wrote for this section. When she hit the main part of the castle, you know, the hallways got bigger, you know, to show off the brilliance of the kingdom. Turning to walk along the, you know, southern facing wall of the castle, you know, the one looking out over the harbor, Caden, you know, stopped to look out over the, you know, harbor. She watched the, you know, trading ships docking. She wondered, you know, where each ship had come from and, you know, for the ones that were leaving, what far off, you know, shores they were headed for. So this was interesting and just added a lot of hesitation, like way more hesitation than I was expecting it to. But this one was just fun because it's like an easy thing. You just add in this phrase of you know like several times throughout, kind of whenever something could be like, I want to say explained, but not even that. I'm not really sure how to put that into words. This one was fun. I now need to pick out the third style I'm going to be trying, but I think I just want to recommend this one for people to try just because it's so easy. You just have to like go through and put in some you knows, and it's fun. Just like try this one on a sentence or two of your writing, and it's just like a fun one to try. That being said, if you are interested in this book or trying any of these writing styles, I have left the Amazon link to this book down in the description box. And if you decide to try out one of these styles, I want to know which one, and if you feel comfortable sharing that passage, I would love to read it. This one's gonna be fun. So this one is called Tactile, and this is going to be the third of 3 styles that I try in this video. The example in Exercises in Style by Raymond Queneau goes like this. Buses are soft to the touch, especially if you take them between the thighs and caress them with both hands. From the head towards the tail, from the engine towards the platform. But when you find yourself on this platform, then you perceive something rougher and harsher, which is the bar or handrail, and sometimes something rounder and more elastic, which is a buttock. Sometimes there are 2 of these, and then you put the sentence into the plural. You can also take hold of a tubular, palpitating object that disgurgitates idiotic sounds, or even a utensil with plated spirals that are softer than a rosary, silkier than a barbed wire, more velvety than a rope, and slenderer than a cable. Or your finger can even touch human clottishness, slightly viscous and gummy on account of the heat. Gross. Then if you are patient for an hour or 2 in front of a bumpy station, you can dip your tepid hand into the exquisite freshness of a vegetable ivory button, which is not in its right place. I don't know if I have words to describe this one. This one's weird, but you know, that's what I'm here for. Just trying different writing styles. And so now it is time for me to attempt something like this with my paragraph. Tactile was an interesting way for me to add more description and more like tangible description, like involving the 5 senses. Well, this is particularly involving the 1 sense because tactile, but an interesting way for me to add more description that I'm not sure I would have been normally comfortable with adding. This is something that I really like when reading, is when things are really descriptive like this, but this is something that I have noticed that I'm not super great at incorporating. So this is definitely something that I would want to incorporate more of into my own writing style, especially with my project DE, because tactiles and trading and just like the differences in fashion and stuff between kingdoms is important to the story, and so I really liked this style. But here's how the tactile style in this paragraph went for me. The main part of the castle was cool and solid, rows of tile and columns of smooth marble. The hallways opened up to show the brilliance and wealth of the kingdom in the thick paint that covered woven canvases adorning the walls. Stone statues of the royal animals stood on stone pedestals throughout the main part. Turning to walk along the open windows of the southern-facing wall of the castle, the silken curtains blowing gently in the wind, Caden looked out over the harbor where ships made of hard woods of the north, with towering posts hosting billowing sails of cotton canvas, were sailing in and out. She stopped for a moment, her own linen tunic brushing gently across her skin, to watch the large trading ships docking. She wondered where each of the thick-hulled ships had come from, and for the ones that were leaving, what goods they carried, what spices, what art they carried, and what far-off shores they were headed for. Anyways, those are the 3 exercises in style that I did today. Asides, you know, and tactile. These were extremely interesting styles. I think that the you know is the easiest for anyone to try, and so I suggest you try that down below. Tactile was the one by far out of the 3 that I did today that I could draw from when editing, probably closer to line editing, my project DE, which is really cool. Kind of a combination of tactile and asides to add more details, because I found that my chapters are really short, and I think what I need to do is add more information and description. But until this point, I wasn't totally sure how to do that. But with these 2 styles, I think that this kind of shows me the way that I should start exploring to grow into more of my own writing style and make the world building deeper so that the story feels deeper and more inclusive. Alright, that's it for me today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up because it really supports my channel, and if you have not already, make sure you hit that big red subscribe button so that you never miss another one of my videos. I also post twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays, and I do occasional live streams, and so I will see you guys next time with another video. Bye. It is a Tuesday at like 9:20, and there's a full-blown party going on downstairs. The wind is howling. I do not know how I'm gonna sleep tonight, but that's not the problem for this video. Every time I think the music stops, it hasn't. I have to go to bed soon because I have work tomorrow. Living in an apartment.